Are you ready to break through the mental barriers holding you back? Welcome to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Dawn Grant. Since 2001, Dawn has been guiding elite athletes like PGA Tour champions, Olympians, and world champions, and everyday individuals toward peak performance. With a proven track record, including helping Vijay Singh win the 2008 FedEx Cup, and her PGA Tour clients averaging a 219% increase in earnings. Dawn knows what it takes to succeed. She's the inventor of the Mind Mastered app, author of 7 Strokes in 7 Days, a sought-after speaker worldwide, and the proud owner of Amelia Shotgun Sports in Northeast Florida. Join us as we dive into powerful strategies, inspiring interviews, and Dawn's unique insights to help you excel in every area of your life, sports, career, relationships, and beyond. And now, here's your host, Dawn Grant.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Dawn Grant. I love interviewing people and finding out, what are their secrets? What is behind being excellent at whatever your endeavor is, whatever is important to you, whatever you find to be valuable for your use of your time. And we have today Unstoppable Tracy, and I'm so excited because you guys are going to learn so much about her whole lifelong story and all the things that she's accomplished, and talk about someone who's got some secrets of excellence to share. I can't wait to learn more. Unstoppable Tracy, thank you for being here.
Oh, Dawn, it's such a pleasure. The honor is all mine.
Can you give a quick synopsis, summary, like the highlights, like who are you and what have you accomplished?
Well, I'm Unstoppable Tracy, and I'm best known lately as being a World Cup sailor, sailing against able-bodied men. And I am born a 4-way amputee. I'm missing my hands and I'm missing my legs. I've also been in Oprah Magazine and bronze medal in downhill skiing and a master scuba diver, and the only 4-way amputee, meaning I'm missing my hands and my legs, that's ever climbed the Annapurna region in the Himalayas, in the highest mountains in the world. And then I do have a business side of sorts, which is with Air Canada and Shoppers Drug Mart and big awards with John Maxwell and International Association of Top Professionals.
Nice.
And it goes on, but sailing is my heart. And
is it? Well, the word unstoppable is definitely very appropriate. Let's go back in time. I guess back to some of your first memories, like as an amputee, all your limbs. What's your first memories related to that?
And this is true for everybody, and I hope people hear themselves in it, but my biggest no that still helped me out yesterday was in kindergarten, my first day of school. Okay. I remember being face to face with the principal, and I'm all excited. As you can tell, I'm very shy. Yeah. And the principal's just his eyes were as huge as saucers, and he was just looking at me without my arms, without my legs, and my mom holding my hand. I have one arm that's a little bit longer. I'm one arm above elbow and one arm that's below elbow. So,
yep.
My mom can kind of hold my wrist. And so that's what I mean when I'm saying holding my hand. I've just told you I've got no arms, no legs, and then I'm like, my mom's holding my hand.
Yeah,
and I get to remember this is a podcast and a show. So my mom's holding my wrist without my hand, and the principal just is looking at my mom, shaking his head, and he says, "I'm sorry, Tracy can't go to this school." And I don't know if the camera that we're recording sound on, you can't see it, but the hair on my arm is standing up.
Oh, yeah.
It's
and the video is being recorded, so the video is being recorded.
Okay. It's wow. I just feel I'm saying it no all over again.
Yes.
And just a little time out. Are you probably ready? And all your listeners are probably ready to be like, What do you mean Tracy can't go to that school? And I'm so grateful for souls like you, Dawn, and your listeners that are like,
Yeah.
I want to take them on, right?
Yeah. Let's fight.
So you wouldn't be surprised if my mom was all mama bear, right? Like, what do you mean? And she wasn't. My mom had the kindest eyes and the kindest voice, and she just looked at him and she said, "How come?"
Yeah.
And I'm just a little bit extra emotional because I've not long lost mom.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing mom saying, "How come?" And because my mom was so friendly and she just said, "How come?" Right? She didn't attack.
Right.
He's like, "Well, this is 30 kids and one teacher." And there's no, in the 70s, there's no educational assistant, there's no support worker, there's no educational aide, there's just one teacher. So how does this one teacher support Tracy without her hands and her legs and 30 wild 5-year-olds on their first day of school?
Right.
So my mom, she was so kind, and she says, "Oh, I get it." And then she counter offers and she says, "How about you try Tracy for 1 week? Can you please give me a week to try to find at that era a school more suited for Tracy?" Right? There were segregated schools.
Okay.
So mom shakes hands, super friendly with the principal. We walk around to the side of the school and we can see the schoolyard, and there are hundreds and hundreds of kids out there. And my mom's smiling because I got to stay, but then her face went serious and she collapsed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm 5 years old. I have no idea how come my mom is fallen, right? And she's on her knees and she's in her little 70s mini skirt. So I'm picturing her bare knees on the asphalt, like that must hurt, right?
Right.
And she grabs my arms, the parental grip, the 5 fingers on your left upper arm and your 5 fingers. And so she's got 10 fingers holding the top of my arms. Dawn just gestured for those who can't watch. I was like, yes, just like that. And she's super intense and she's looking at me in my eyes and she's like, "Tracy, it's really important that you and everybody's included. Nobody left behind."
Yes.
Including you.
Yeah.
And I'm 5 years old. I have no idea why my mom is so serious.
Yeah.
Are you a mom, Dawn?
Yes.
Yes. The way you're saying, yeah. I'm like, it sounds like you're a mom.
I am. I have 2. They're in their mid and late 20s.
Oh my gosh. You must have had them at 10. You look so young. I can't believe you have 20-year-olds.
No, I'm 54. Wow. Yeah.
No. Oh, wow. Well, what you're doing in life with this mindset, Secrets of Excellence, is working for you. It's keeping you young looking. Wow.
Yeah, but they are my I love having children. I've loved every aspect of being pregnant, of raising them. Of course, it doesn't mean that was easy all the time. No. It was the most challenging thing in my life, for sure. But they're truly the loves of my life, absolutely. But I get it.
You get it. You get what mom was, and you can, when my niece was 5 and she needed her shoelaces tied, I just wanted to tie her shoelace. It was really hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Letting her figure it out. And that's kind of what happened. Fast forward to recess time, the principal ran outside to look for me and he couldn't see me anywhere.
Okay.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I didn't realize that if I didn't get outside for recess, I wouldn't get to stay at that school.
Okay.
And I wasn't there.
Where were you?
And that's what my principal was wondering. Where were you?
Where is she? Where's Tracy?
And he had seen my mom on her knees and he heard her say, "Nobody left behind." So I like to say, in the spirit of the famous movie, that his heart grew 3 sizes that day, right?
I totally see it, yeah.
He doesn't want me to leave, right? And now he can't see me. It's what happened? So he goes inside to find my teacher and he says, "Couldn't Tracy tie her shoelaces?" And my teacher's all confused and she's like, "Tracy was the first one to tie her shoelaces." He's like, "Well, then how come she wasn't outside?" So, her little friend couldn't tie her shoelaces.
Oh my gosh.
And what did my
Tracy.
mom
Oh
say,
my
right?
goodness.
Nobody left behind.
Oh my goodness.
It turns out none of the 30 kids could tie their shoelaces.
Oh my goodness. I love
So-
this story.
By the time I tied 30 shoelaces.
No way.
Yep. And the recess bell had gone off. So that's how come I never made it outside.
And they're all in love with Tracy at that point, and you're
Yes.
not going nowhere.
I'm not going any, no. And, I learned that day when the principal said no and it's just, he just didn't know. K-N-O-W. Right?
Right.
And you and I, it kind of makes sense. 30 kids, no hands, no legs. How is this teacher going to juggle everything? Like, how am I going to tie my shoes? How am I going to go to the bathroom by myself?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
mean. It was just how.
Right.
And we're kind of like you and I, we're around the same age. And it's
Yeah.
like sometimes we have imposter syndrome, or we feel like, how am I going to do that? Or I don't have enough education, or how do I juggle my kids and a job? Or, who
Right.
wants to hear my story if you want to write a book? So we get it, like when you feel like there's no way and it's impossible. But I
Right.
was just lucky at 5 to realize, impossible unless what, right? No just means we don't know. So what do we got to figure out? It doesn't mean no, not forever.
That's, for a person like me who's so fascinated with the mind and everything, I was like, where did this start, and where did Tracy become unstoppable? Like, what elements, and nurture versus nature, and both being played in there. And what a great story at such a young age of love, acceptance, courage, strength, giving, kindness, receiving. And like you said, the heart growing, and just the power behind all of these things that were all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
How cool.
I was so lucky, so lucky. I just was like any other kid, right? I just wanted to be there. I wasn't being a hero. It was just, I got this great opportunity to do whatever it took.
It's so fascinating. And I don't know if this is going to sound crazy. I'm going to use this as an example, but I have a little handicapped dog, and his back legs are like twisted and they go straight out. And he is so like determined, and he knows when I say, would you like me to pick you up? And he goes, because he doesn't want me to pick him up. Like, there are times when his front legs get tired because it's just been a long day. And if I say, you want me to pick you up? He'll stop, and he wants me to pick him up. But 95% of the time, he's like, he's just like, hell no, I got this. And whether it's getting up the steps or jumping over something or whatever. And I just find that so cool. I just love that. And that unstoppable about you, I imagine it's like anything else in life, meaning how you're nurtured. If a parent was very like protective and sheltering, and their belief being that you couldn't do things, or that you should go to a different school, like whatever it was, that you would have had a whole different experience, right?
Yes. So true. And I feel like COVID and inevitably there's changes all through life, but it just seems like we're at this place in this time where, because of what happened, we're like super sheltering of our children and even our employees. And what ends up happening is that little resilient dog that you have, and I love little dogs. I have a little dog named Riley, and so I'm somebody be like, "Did she just compare it to a dog?" And I'd be like, "Thank you." I love that. It is the most lovable comparison, and you nailed it, right? It is that tenacity to keep on going when somebody thinks you can't is actually a really big gift. But you get to have some space. One person needs to believe you can do it so you can discover that tenacity. And then after
Yeah.
that, when other people doubt you, in kindness even,
Yeah.
that you've got the courage to say, they just don't know I can do this.
And that's what I
Uh,
was going to say. And their naivety, really, right?
yeah,
They're just
yeah.
not knowing. They're not knowing. Um, so let's just fast forward a little bit. So how did school end up going for you, like through the years? You said something about 30 companions or something.
Yeah, 30 allies from
Yeah.
kindergarten because I tied all those shoes for many years.
Yes.
Yes. And I went on and I did some recreation. I did some international travel, like a rec leadership diploma and a rec leadership degree. And I went to Nepal and Uganda and Mexico and Jamaica on these leadership adventures. And they didn't really understand the leadership degree. So I got a Bachelor of Education. So then when
Okay.
I was teaching, so I ended up teaching in over 20 developing countries or areas, which was amazing.
Right.
And when I came back, one of the times I got a job short term at Air Canada. There was a pilot strike. And so I was just in between travels and I ended up loving it, doing leadership development at Air Canada. And so I
Nice.
did my master's part time while I was working at Air Canada for 8 years with a
Oh,
focus on
wow.
leadership development.
Nice.
Nice. And then for
That sounds
pleasure,
fascinating.
yes, it was so fascinating. And then for pleasure, I did an art diploma. I've always loved art. Elementary and high school, I always wanted to be an art therapist. And at the time,
Nice.
I thought, oh, I don't want to be in school for 6 years. It was so fun. And then I was in school a lot longer than all of that. So I did an art diploma, but I did it correspondence because I didn't want to be marked for not having hands or legs. I wanted to be marked authentically for the quality of my work. And so I did my art diploma invisible, shall we say,
Nice.
anonymously.
Yep.
And I got all A's, but they still to this day don't know that what I was submitting was without hands or legs.
That's pretty fascinating. And what type of stuff were you submitting?
So when you're doing it, at first it needs to be a variety: pencil, watercolor, chalk, oils, but watercolor is my favorite.
Oh, man, I'd love to see some of your work.
I'll try and send you some pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you had this support system of these 30 kindergartners, throughout most of your school years, I imagine. Did you face some challenges along the way?
Like I remember about 13 years old, I think that was grade 7 or 8. And there was a school, it was the first sort of big school dance. And my house was sort of like a back split. It was like bungalow at the front, but there was a few stairs down to the living room and a few stairs up to the bedroom. And I was
Yes.
sitting on the 3 stairs down, looking at my mom through the railing in the kitchen, talking to her, and I was bawling my eyes out and thinking, no, and whatever your gender preference, I happen to like men, so I wanted a boy to dance with me. And I said, I don't think any boys are going to dance with me. And I was crying, and my mom came around and she came down and she sat with me on these 3 sunken stairs with me and put her arm around me. And she said, I was really afraid of this day. And my mom was amazing, but it was a different era, right? And my mom looked like you, actually. My mom had dark hair like you, beautiful, fair, snow white skin like you, and
Oh.
like this snow white, gorgeous look. And I think my mom, and I don't know, not to be presumptuous with you, but I don't think my mom had any trouble having boys asking her to dance in her day.
Right.
And my dad was a very handsome man as well. And so I think like it's just what her lived experience was after a war and in like impoverished Liverpool, England. It just wasn't what she could see.
Yeah.
And what she said, you don't have to go. And I was,
Yeah.
and then my heart just like sank. And I thought, well, I want to go be with
Oh,
all
wow.
my girlfriends, all my besties, right?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I want to go. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go to be with my friends.
Yes.
And I just let go of the expectation that I'm going to get asked to dance by a boy. And
Yes.
so I went to be with all my friends, and my head was up and my eyes were up and I'm looking and smiling because I had the pressure off. I'm not going to be
Yes.
asked to dance by any boys.
Yes.
But
let
whereas
go.
I just went, and all my girlfriends, all my friends, my circle of friends, like their eyes were down, their backs were together, and they were in like a little huddle. right?
Yeah.
And so guess who was the first one to get asked to dance, right?
You
Had
go,
my eyes
girl.
up and out, right?
Yeah.
And they were like their backs and their eyes were hiding, and they were just as scared as I was, legs or not, right? Am I gonna be
Yeah.
asked to dance?
Yeah.
And same with the boys, I'm sure wanting to ask to dance.
Yeah.
So no hardship on mom, but it certainly influenced me. It took me many years to realize not only am I powerful and strong, but I could be sexy and beautiful too. But that's not how I felt for many years, many
Right.
years. It's only very recently that I discovered the not the leader in me, but the sexy in me.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
I'd rooted in that story. It was a story that I realized, okay, that's where it came from. I just sort of let
And
go of that.
some aspects of what we hold as our limits aren't as visible, right? So, what you are saying there and what you're recognized is a lot of the girls, if not all of them, had their own fears about it for all their own reasons, right? And maybe not as obvious physically, but still there. And definitely, I mean, as much as you were like, well, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I definitely had all those fears and didn't think anybody liked me and didn't think I
Oh,
was pretty at all and had all sorts of different things. I was so shy too.
yeah.
So many different things and for different reasons, right? And so I think everybody can relate on some level to what you're saying. And if anything, having it be more physical makes it more obvious, but there can be pain and suffering for all different things that are like more invisible,
Yes.
right? But at the same time, I'm just kind of processing all this. At the same time, by having more physical, you've got some that will perceive limitations and some that will want to help to not have limitations. And I don't know that that would probably be so black and white with someone who didn't have the physical, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many great, my gosh, like all these little steps along the way
Mhm.
that even when you perceive something as a challenge, it ended up being so great for you, right? There's so many different like stepping stones along the way. When would you say you did the first really big thing, that
Yes.
nobody else has done? Or, how did that happen?
You know, what's funny, a theme that right from like kindergarten being told no was being told no, but in compassion, not no, like
Yeah.
they were meanly thinking I couldn't. They're just trying to protect me
Yeah.
on being hurt when I find out it doesn't work. But the reality is it will always work out if you're just gonna keep going, right? The
Yeah.
old quote about the only difference between failure and success is successful people tried one more time, right? So
Yes.
I was lucky to learn you just keep going until it works. And it might be 200 times, but it will always work if you don't stop if you
Yes.
keep going. So, like when in about grade 7, 8, like I wanted to try the skiing I'd heard about, and that was an accessible program, but they'd never had anybody with no hands and no legs. So again, we're sorry, this isn't going to really work for Tracy. And mom's like, can we just try? No problem if it doesn't work out, right? And of course we figured it out. And again, and what's interesting with that, like, can we just try? Like when the principal said no, she probably can't tie her shoelaces. My mom didn't say she can tie her shoelaces,
Yeah.
right? She just said, if it doesn't work out, no problem. Can we just try?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm following
Because
you.
follow right? Like, because
Yeah.
his concerns weren't really, could I tie my shoelaces? They were
Right.
really about, can we support her? Can we juggle 30 other students?
Right.
They cannot see any which way, upside down or backwards, this way working. So when it was,
Right.
can we just try? If it doesn't work out, no problem. That was his roadblock. And
Right.
so when you're like, no with skiing, no with sailing, no with scuba diving, like all of these times in my life, and many, many job interviews when I go, "Oh, so how come you didn't hire me? So you're fabulous. Someone's going to hire you." And well, so what was the roadblock here? Well, someone might have said, you've got to be able to flip paper. And they never asked me, can I flip paper? And I have no
Right.
trouble flipping paper. But also, like when you're in a room full of 30 people listening or 100, could I please have a volunteer flip my paper? Like there's probably 20 solutions to flipping paper, right? Like, but it just,
Right.
you can't do that. So that's part of the job. So boom, you're gone.
Right.
That's why it's important not to tackle the one thing you hear when you're influencing and persuading or negotiating. It's not the thing they say. It's a big party in the background. And that just feels like, oh, they're not going to be able to fight that. So
Yeah,
clearly
that's the
it's
safe
no.
one.
Yeah.
That's the little safe thing I can say on the surface because I don't want to say all these other things or something.
Yes. And
Yeah.
same with, oh, it's a man's world, or, it's male dominated, or are you strong enough type of thing. So the next big thing I did was the skiing. And I remember we went out with my long legs, but because my legs end above my knees, we get on the incline and the knees would just buckle. And we
Yeah.
tried a sitting ski with outriggers, with crutches, with skis. But because I don't have my hands, we even duct taped at the time my hands with outriggers. But it wasn't enough control to control
Yeah.
the sit ski. We came inside and we sat on a bench. And this is many, many weeks of trying. And I looked over at my ski instructor's feet, and he had gigantic feet. And my
Okay.
younger brain was thinking, my preteen brain was thinking, holy cow, he's got big feet.
Okay.
And then I got this light bulb. He's got big feet. I can put my thighs, my stumps, my short amputee legs in men's ski boots.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. And I still wiped out because ski boots are canted, they're angled, and I'm knees to skis, right? No knee joint, no ankle joint. So I was pitched way forward with the angle of the boots.
Like right on your nose.
So what we did was we put my thighs in men's ski boots backwards.
Listen to you.
I don't have toes, right? It doesn't matter which way they face.
Right.
And so I skied in men's ski boots backwards. And so that's like the nugget there is you get to embrace the possibility. Like we didn't know how I would ski. And I was being told no, but I knew I could ski. Even when I was
old were
wiping
you?
out.
How old
that
were
was
you
about
at that point?
11, 12, 13 in there.
And I'm curious because this is a several week process.
Yeah.
How was your attitude and your mindset through that process? Did you always stay pretty positive, or did you get like roller coaster ride or anything?
I definitely, I have stories of where things were really hard, but I had learned really early that people look at me in sympathy, or people want to let you off the hook real quick, or people are used to not try again. So whatever I was feeling, it was really important that I project, even to this day, we can do this. Because they're like, the legs didn't work and they thought they were done. I'm like, that's okay. What else can we try? What's that?
Yeah.
And you see, the sit ski. It's okay, let's try it, right? And then the outrigger, that's okay. What else can we try? So we tried duct taping them, right? So we went in and they were kind of, okay, we've tried the two big things. I guess it's not going to work kind of mindset coming at you in this example. But it's just like being in careers, especially as women, but just anybody, men and women, where there's doubters. Well, you tried, right? And you failed. And it's like, that's okay. And so we were just like the bench. So then I'm looking at his feet and thinking they're big, like a young person. But then it's like, let's try those. My thighs will fit, Yeah. And then once I was skiing with the backwards boots, I didn't stay that way. But that's what got me started, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so it showed possibility. It showed, so you get to embrace, I didn't know how I would ski, and you don't know how you're going to be the famous role of what it is that you're looking for in your life. You don't know how, but you believe it's going to happen. And, and then you go forward, and then you find your backwards boots. A lot of us, there's thinking and planning, and we got to see how first. It's really important that even if we don't see how, even if you don't know how, you plow ahead.
You have trust and faith.
Yeah.
And you let go of trying to control.
Yeah.
Well, so did it feel like a lot of responsibility to try to help all these around you to have hope and keep their faith and not feel bad or whatever. And when you were doing that, did you believe it yourself, or were you just rising to the occasion so nobody felt bad? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Our greatest strengths are our greatest weaknesses, right? Like my
Yeah.
greatest strength is I'm super independent, but my greatest weakness is I'm too independent.
Yeah.
My greatest strength is that I really care a lot about what other people think and are they happy, right? Like in the kindness of all the shoes.
Yeah.
But one of my weaknesses for sure is that I care too much about what other people think.
Yeah. I got
For
you.
sure. And
Yeah.
that's happened in life too. But it also works for me, like caring about them and as volunteers, not wanting them to feel defeated or let down or like they let me down. Like even if I
Yeah.
am let down, it's important that whoever's around me doesn't feel let down and then I go away and feel let down by myself.
Yeah.
Like has ended up being a favor because people would keep strong. I will say after a lifetime of it, like when we reach this mature age that we are,
Yeah.
that I'm sort of like, okay, I get that you don't know I can tie shoelaces, you don't know that I can ski, but now I've succeeded, right? I've skied, I've climbed the Himalayas, I fly airplanes, I jump out of airplanes, I ride horses, I'm a World Cup sailor against able-bodied men. I've been on stages with John Travolta, like as a successful keynote speaker, not in empathy, like, oh, look at her, no arms, no legs, but in powerful messaging that
For sure.
converts rooms of thousands.
Yes.
And I still, every time, get to start with no, start with the space of they don't get it. And I've certainly have less patience for it now than I've had for a lifetime.
How does that show up? How's the less patience show up now?
Woo, there you go. Look at you.
Are
Well,
you more forward?
more. Like, so the beauty
Stronger?
of mom was she didn't say she could tie her shoelaces. And the beauty
Yeah.
of mom was like, okay, can we just try? And the
Yeah.
beauty of youth, of not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings or, come across overly assertive, so just being really humble and grateful. That's when it worked. Being grateful worked, being open worked. And what's not working is when I'm sort of like, I can do it. Like just proving I can do it.
Yeah.
This isn't exactly this story, but it's a related tangent. So last week was the Mobility Cup 2025. It's an international regatta. It is the most gathering of the Martin 16. This is a certain type of boat in the entire world that all of these Martin 16s come together. CN Rail generously donate a train to ship from wherever, from British Columbia to East Coast, to people in the States driving it up and training it there. Like it's incredible. Suzuki sponsored well over 20,000, maybe more in motors, and it's huge.
Yeah.
So, and there's 40 or so sailors, competitors, but there's like 90 volunteers to make it happen. There's like double the amount of people.
Yeah.
So there's people on the water, there's people on land. And this particular regatta, Point Claire Yacht Club, the water was really shallow. And so unlike any other regatta race I'd been to with the boat, this keel is very, very heavy, and it drops down 4 feet into the water. But because the water was shallow, these 4 feet keels were dragging.
Yes.
So normally the only time you lift the keel is on the first day and the last day to get it out of and then put it on a trailer to ship it somewhere or to tow it. Because we had to lift this keel every time we came in because the water was so shallow. And there's all these volunteers that want to help me, but because they think I can't do it, I'm grabbing the line and I am hauling the keel, this ridiculously heavy keel, up to get it up and into the shallow water. But I got like one elbow that's lived a long life so far.
You
and
must
it does
be so
my
strong.
stairs, it does everything, including the sailing, right? And
Yeah.
it's strong, but still, it's only one elbow.
Yeah.
And I'm using my elbow up to prove I can pull this keel up, right?
Yeah.
And there's people that could be saving my elbow, and I could be saving it for sailing, for competing.
Yes, I got you.
And so I didn't do myself a favor because my elbow didn't hurt sailing, but it sure hurt after hauling in this keel.
Yes.
in order to go to the
Yeah.
shallow waters, just because the way they didn't say, would you like a hand? Or can we save you any energy? They said, we know you can't pull it up. So, let us get near you to pull the keel up for you. Had they
Oh,
said it any
hell.
differently, I would have learned to pull the keel up.
Totally. They don't know who they're talking
Yeah.
to.
I'm like, what? You think I can't pull this up? Right.
Yeah. So now in hindsight, if you could rewind to that, would you let them do it even if they didn't ask you the right way?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's like a little thing in there,
Oh,
right?
yeah. My elbow's still
Yeah.
sore today, and I had to drive 8 hours home, and,
Yeah.
like, I use this arm for everything,
Yes.
and, what was I thinking? Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like a little button for you, right? Like they're kind of pushing this
A
button
trigger.
and you're like, and then all of a sudden unstoppable Tracy comes
Comes out.
out.
What?
I'm going to show you. I've always had that I'm going to show you thing.
Yeah.
For just, I don't know, I'm trying to think why. I don't even know where it came from. But as soon as somebody doubted me, I was always like, don't worry, I got this.
Yep.
And it went back, and it's kind of a goofy example, but so I'm sure it went back further than this. But I was just goofing off in senior in high school, and we lived like 2 houses away from the high school. And so on like study hall, I would go home. I was always late, even though I was 2 houses away. So I had lots of tardies. And apparently, after so many tardies and skipping class, they start taking off your attendance. Like, meaning, like, they became, I don't even remember. Let's just say 10 tardies became 1 absence. And so by the end of the year, apparently I had so many absences that I couldn't graduate. So, like, principal, like, had my father all freaked out. And I'm like, don't worry, Dad, I've got this under control. And we had this really big white house with, like, those big pillars. Like, what is that? It's not Victoria. Colonial.
Gone with the wind.
Yeah. And he got this huge banner across the front that said, don't worry, Dad, I have it under control. And it's just this thing. And I've noticed it my whole life since then. It's like, if somebody doubts me, that's fuel on my fire. Like, I heard you, and now I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I own a shotgun club that most is a male-dominated sport. And very few women in the country, if not the world, own a shotgun sport club. And when I first bought it, there were men that were literally shaking physically in front of me because they were so upset.
Yeah.
And you can't pull this off, and saying it, you can't do this. You really think you're going to be able to pull this off? And first of all, I'm shocked because they could even do that.
Yeah.
But second, like, what? Who?
Really? Yeah.
But yeah, then secondly, you just fed my fuel. Like, you just fueled my fire. Like, not only am I going to do it, but now I'm going to do it big, and I'm going to do it better than you ever imagined.
Yes. Yes. I had that in sailing, like, men, the same thing. But did you find, like, the fellow shot club owners, they would maybe help each other a little bit or give hints. But because you were you and they said you wouldn't succeed, they also made it more difficult for you. So, like, not only were you successful, and there's your puppy now, giving a shout out for his mummy, Dawn. It's like, go, mummy, go, in puppy language. I love that. But that they also, like, hinder it. Like, I would go and I would, like, help crane out 12 boats, and I would help, like, drag dollies to and from a crane to be available to get their boat out and to make their process of getting their boat ready and do all of this. But because they could, in a pinch, do it themselves, but I just made it 10 times easier and 10 times faster for all of them to facilitate it and work the crane. But then when it came to my turn, they wanted to prove how I couldn't do it. And I'm like, if the 12 of us just work together, it's not about me doing it or not doing it.
Well, yeah. And similar to your story of she can't tie her shoes. Fast forward maybe 3 or 4 years of owning the club. And every month there's a tournament that I host. And so in that tournament, food is included for the registered shooters, right? And I've always done food. At the very beginning, I actually even hired a band and did this full catered meal. Like, I did all this stuff. And of course, I cut back over the months and years. I'm like, okay, that's a little overkill. But I always had food. Well, I found out from this guy that lived about an hour and a half away, and he had a whole circle of guys that would drive up to the competitions. And he was like, I'm just going to let you know. We're never driving up there again. You claim that you serve lunch and you never have. And I'm like, I got pictures of lunch.
What's
You're
going
not going
on?
to drive up here because you think I'm not serving lunch and that
Yeah.
I'm lying? I'm like, no, I've got pictures. Like, what? He's like, well, I have heard some guys say that they'll never go to a club that's owned by a shotgun, by a woman, and it doesn't help that you're good looking. And I was like, holy. Yeah, so setting like finding an excuse that I wasn't providing lunch, which was not even true,
True. No.
as an excuse or whatever. But the other place that I've seen something like this, I've always had this dream that I kept secret, and that was to be like a Tony Robbins. Like I would love to fill a room full of an auditorium full of people, right?
Yeah.
And I never spoke it out loud because I didn't want people to be like, oh, sure, yeah. Well, and I know you can relate to this because of
Yeah.
everything you've lived through. And so I never said it out loud. Well, I can actually remember the first time I said it out loud. And I watched, it was in front of two men, and they both laughed, looked at each other and laughed.
Yeah.
And I heard myself say, well, why couldn't I?
Yeah.
He's not like curing cancer. He's not a rocket scientist. Helping people with their mind and their mindset and motivating them to be happier and to think more constructively and more joyfully. And that's what I do. So why couldn't I do it at that level? But you know what I found is that by saying it out loud and seeing their reaction, it strengthened me. Because when I heard myself give the reason, of course I can do this.
Yes.
Of course. And I believed it when I said it. And it was like one. And so since then, because that was several years ago, now I say it more frequently. I
Yes.
say it more comfortably. If somebody gives a reaction, it doesn't hurt. I just need to educate them
Yeah.
that he's
They
not doing
just-
anything I can't do.
Yeah. And they just don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me because climbing one of the largest mountains in the world is very different than, let's say, what Tony Robbins is doing, right? So for someone to say, Dawn, you can't do that, I might go, you might be right about that. I'm not quite in that physical condition, but I could probably train for it. However, but then when I compare it to like what Tony Robbins, I'm like, of course I can do that. I've trained for that.
Yes.
I know how to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. So the interesting parallels or analogies that are similar to what you're saying.
Yes. And we're both speaking so powerfully, like, well, that's how we listen. And, you asked me, was there ever any, I think you used the expression peaks and valleys or something, like ups or downs. And
Yeah.
for sure, and after being isolated in COVID, and there weren't any stages, and there wasn't any sailing or skiing or scuba diving, like there just wasn't. And people are from home. And I remember somebody saying, I'd had a dream to go to the Red Sea, which is the most sort of famous scuba diving, incredible corals. And then
Okay.
someone was like almost handing it to me on a silver platter, not me fighting for it or trying to create it or reaching out to 14 clubs before I might even get a conversation with somebody. They just called and said, what do you think? And then I know after those like 3 years or so of it all, I was kind of like, I don't know what physical shape I'm in. And I'm not sure if I can take that on now. Like things bring us backwards where we do doubt ourselves. And you
Yeah.
say like, what was the hardest? When you said what was the hardest, I thought, well, skiing was probably like the next big thing, but probably
Mhm.
the hardest was coming back after that time. I got sepsis over COVID. So I've always been able to wear my legs, artificial legs, never owned a wheelchair. And then now I'm still part-time in a chair and had to get a
Okay.
chair, and being in the hospital those 6 months and not allowed out until I successfully found a chair. And I had to change where I lived because my apartment wasn't accessible for a wheelchair because I didn't have a wheelchair. So I had to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
this accessible place. So for the first time in my life, I actually felt like I didn't have legs. But I don't
Yeah.
scuba dive with my legs. Like, what do my legs have to do with scuba diving? But I was definitely, I needed to self-talk myself through it. So there are ups and downs, and you can hear I don't know, like you said, when this 3 years later, and then you're still getting flack after proving incredible success, and people twist the truths to what they hear, and they believed you didn't serve lunch, like, because, right? Like, and it's not even the truth. And that's same with me. Like they believe I could pull a boat out, but was sort of like, well, and she can't even pull her own boat out. How's she going to sail it? Well, actually, I can, but it's just like stories get morphed to fit what others believe.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and then you start to have your own imposter syndrome because of something,
Yes.
right? Like maybe
Yeah.
you gain weight, or maybe you get sick, or maybe something happens with one of your kids, or
So huge to be able to be responsible to one's thoughts. And not everybody, I mean, I couldn't even guess what the percentage of the population that not only knows that, but actively does it. It's such a small percentage, in my opinion, too, because the power of our thoughts and perceptions and beliefs are affecting everything. You know, there's some people that say, you know, everything before you is a projection and it's not really real. Well, I'm going to say everything before me is a projection based on my thoughts and beliefs, and it's not necessarily real. So like when you're giving these examples of these people, they're projecting onto you their limitations and their beliefs and their fears, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you at all. And it's their story based on whatever they've come to learn or believe or guess or whatever in their naivety. And it's coming out their mouth as if it's truth, but it's not. But they think it is, because we all have this big old ego thing that makes us think we're right and everybody else is wrong, you know? So it's coming, and that's really what we need to be. We need to be responsible to that and pause, respond instead of react. Like pause and take that moment of, I don't know. It's not even I may not, I don't know. I don't know. So let me be in that position of I don't know and ask instead of tell, and be responsible. It's not only responsible to our thoughts, because our thoughts have power, but the same as our words and actions based on our thoughts, right?
yes.
And you've been living that, again, just because what you've got going on is physical and visible.
Yeah.
So because of that, you see this more frequently from others. Yeah.
And such a bonus. And then, and if you don't know and you ask, but who are you asking to, and how often are you asking? It's sort of like in the sailing when people said, you know, it's totally impossible that you pursue a Paralympic dream. You need 10,000 hours. You need $10,000 for a boat. You need $10,000 for a high performance coach. There's just no way. And all the other sailors with disabilities, you know, they're missing a thumb, or they're missing a foot, or they're maybe paralyzed from the waist down, but you're sitting in the boat and they've got strong arms. So it doesn't really, you know, and like all of that is paper cuts compared to you, Tracy, right? Like, so even my people that are in my world that have disabilities or in the world of accessible sailing are saying, being cautious and going down. But what comes in is, you know, you talked about your dad putting up that sign on your house because of that moment, and how that made you be forevermore.
Right.
Is carried forward. And like the backwards boots, go embrace possible, or the no with the kindergarten. Or I remember I was so tough on my dad for a long time, as many young girls can be. And I'm 11 months older than my sister, and she had a slightly earlier bedtime than me. And I remember my dad couldn't for the life of me get me and my sister into bed. So he said, do you mind going to bed so I can get Kelly into bed, my sister?
Right.
And I'll come back. In 10 minutes, she'll be asleep, and I'll come back and get you.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't come back. And so I made that mean like I couldn't count on him, and that I can only count on myself. And so I've got this great strength of being independent. But the reality is, you know, fast forward and babysitting my niece and nephew, I think I fell asleep at like
so I was wondering,
7:30 a.m. He probably fell asleep. I'm sure he didn't leave me on purpose, or he thought I fell asleep, or he thought I couldn't read a clock, or like, because he was a wonderful, generous, kind, amazing man.
Right.
So it doesn't, the 5-year-old version of that story is a 5-year-old's interpretation.
Yeah,
But that 5-year-old came out this week with the keel bulb. Like, I can tow that, right? I can't count on anybody. I got to pull up that keel bulb. I'm independent. So, or who knows which of those. And so same with you with the gun shop, that teenager that was irresponsibly late every day, you know, but your dad making the sign. And so when we're making our choices now, who's making the choice? Is it a woman that's 54 and lived all these years? Or is it the 17-year-old that got that big sign from her dad. Well, there's still a bonus. It's still helpful, but it's also with the 17-year-old mindset or my 5-year-old bedtime mindset
Yeah.
that we
And
get
there's two
to choose
sides
it
to
more
that
appropriately.
coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a light side and a shadow side to, let's say, something like independence. And I love that you said that earlier in our conversation. There is two sides to everything. And again, something so important to be aware of, because I was so much about proving myself and I'm going to make this happen and I'm going to make this club more successful than it's ever been on my own, damn it. And so my husband now, who's been in my life for going on 5 years,
Nice.
he had owned a shotgun club in South New Jersey for 30 years. And so when we met, of course, he had a lot of wisdom and insight and all that, and he wanted to help. And I had to work on letting him help, receiving. And part of it, I have to still prove to that red-faced man that was shaking, that didn't think I could do this, that I can do it on my own. I still have to prove it to him and all the other ones that were doubting, but I had to let go of stuff like that, and work on that. And I did over, a several year process of it. And everybody's different. Another thing would be a guy coming in and wanting to bulldoze, right? Coming in strong and let me do, not let me, I will do this for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it could have been, the guy could have, I'm talking about my husband at the time. How do I say this? A man could have come in saying, well, this is a shotgun club, and started just running it even without even asking, right? Like just kind of like taking this manly position. And one of the things that attracted me about Joe is he wanted the backseat. Like he didn't want notoriety or recognition or to take the front stage. Like if he was going to help me, it was going to be, nobody's going to know about it. You know what I mean? As far as like, he just respected that it was my club and he wanted me to succeed at it. And if I needed help, it wasn't for his own purpose other than wanting to feel like he was helpful. And that stood out, right? Because that's a safe person to take help from. It's a safe person who's not doing it to like, look at me, or I'm going to come save the day, or I'm doing this because she can't do it, or whatever other possibilities there are. And I know, I'm sure you've seen all those different personalities come in, try to help you.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially the ones that you don't ask, right?
Yes, ask. And it's funny, one of the things I sort of say, would you like a hand, or is there anything I can do to make life easier versus let me help you? And then your example dialed it up one more. It's not even a let me help you. It's just I'm going to, like, just doing it without involving. And it's sort of in a tangent along that theme is, nothing about us without us. Like have us in, like if they are assisting you and you do wake up and say, okay, he's got my best intentions. He's not here for the limelight to say that he took over and succeeded for me, right? It's because he involved you and saw what you were requesting or wishing.
Yeah.
And it was, that nothing about us without us. If you are fellow community members that do want to make a difference for somebody that's got a big dream, how can you support them in their dream, their dream, their way?
Yes.
Which is interesting. And I was thinking of like, so you've got your husband in this regatta that I was just in last week. There's this woman, Karen Ann Xavier, and she's married. It's not a relationship thing with me and her, except that she didn't really get any accolades that week, but she touched all the boats. She improved all the boats. She repaired several big collisions. She's been coaching me for 20 years. She's been dragging boats across Canada and around the world for years.
Wow.
And she's always that silent person, like orchestra leader. We see the band on the stage, but we don't see the orchestra leader. And
yes,
you made me think of her. She made me think of your Joe. And she's just one of these powerful women that really set everybody else up for success around her. And she's extraordinarily talented herself. But
right.
I don't see her limelight. Her limelight is being the best ally for so many others, even though she's very talented at technical and sailing. And and
Yeah.
kindness. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing related to personalities that I've observed. You're reminding me of so there's a local news channel that I'm on pretty frequently. And it can be related to mental stuff. It could be related to my nonprofit. It could be related to anything. If there's something going through Congress about guns and they want to interview me because I own a shotgun club, like there's so many different. But I'm on this show frequently, this news channel, and I start this podcast and I asked the main newscaster if he'd like to be a guest on my podcast, and he says yes. And he's like, who's great? There's this lady right here. She has been here like 30 years, and she was one of the ladies. She had all the wires on her and the headsets, and she was the behind the scenes person, right? And he was like, there's so much she could share. And I invited her, and she was like, no, I am not that person.
Yeah.
I like to be behind the scenes. And he's like, this place would not run without her. You should do it, and he was trying to convince her. And she's like, no, like that's not me. And it was clear, a newscaster who likes to be in front of the camera, and then this person who's behind the scenes doing all of the grunt work and everything, and really didn't want to be recognized publicly. Very, very content, getting pleasure from being behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or people like that. That's the ones that I like.
Yeah.
If they're going to help me,
Yeah.
do it with humility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we get to remember them. We get to bring them along with us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So if you had one gold nugget or one bit of wisdom, what would you pass on? Like, what's something that you would just be like, this is the most important thing that comes to my mind right now?
I have no idea what's going on in the eyes and ears of your listeners, and for you, or for Karen Ann helping me behind the scene, or for each person out there. And I think people would like she got sepsis and she's in a chair now and her life is upside down and she didn't sail for all those years. And then her mom recently passed away and there's a lot going on. And so I don't think anybody would judge me if I didn't go to this regatta last week, or if I said, oh, I just had this huge event and it was like unbelievable number of days without sleep and nonstop physicality. Dawn, I've got to change the date of our recording today. Like, you wouldn't have judged me probably if I explained what happened. But my mom is like in my ear with the tough love, with the kind love of like no excuses.
Yeah.
And so no excuses is kind of like, it is an excuse, like you were late for school. But I know there's some very realistic things out there, like you talked about not curing cancer or some medical things going on. And those, I don't think they deserve the title excuse. And me too with the sepsis, for example. But when you live a life of no excuses,
yeah,
even if it's sort of very realistic reasons, when you live a life of no excuses, the bonus is you get to live a life of no limits. No excuses, no limits. Like, this was the best hour ever today in the month. And it was really wonderful speaking with you and having you distinguish and clarify sort of the golden nuggets that are just stories for me, right? Because that's your secrets of excellence. You can distinguish, and what a wonderful experience for me to have this hour with you. And so no excuses. The bonus is you show up, you end up with no limits, no excuses, no limits.
For sure. For sure. And I can totally relate. I've got big goals and I just don't see any reason not to achieve them other than myself.
Yes.
That's it. And my belief system, and whether I let go and trust the process and engage as much as I can, but also let go. And there's this really nice dance, I think, that a rhythm of dance of getting into, how much we control or try to do things versus let go. And the same as doing and receiving. It's like finding this gray area of independence and dependence. Although I feel like the word dependence is bad, but it's
like,
not. Is it? I know. That's not a bad word.
No, but I do
love
a
curse
receiving.
Word.
Receiving.
Yes.
I like it better than dependence. Receiving. My mom said that receiving is a gift for other people.
It is.
She
yes.
said sometimes you've got to let people do it for you because it's a gift for them. Yeah.
I had heard that at some point, and I tell that to one of the young ladies that works for me. She's got a 4-year-old,
Oh,
and she's one of those mothers that really does everything. I'm like, because years ago I heard, like, if we always do for somebody, we're sending them a message that we believe that they can't do it. And that goes in childhood. It goes to all of our relationships, even partnerships where somebody maybe has like an addiction or alcoholism or something like that. If the other person is constantly doing for them and fixing their stuff, there's this message, you can't do it. And that is not uplifting and not healthy and not constructive. And we, we should ask. Would you like I do to my dog, Popeye. That's his name, Popeye, because he's like strong up front. And do you want me to pick you up? And he's like, no. And then he's full speed ahead to get away from me.
yeah.
Yeah. Give
And
people.
you help them to get to the right. And what helps me with the should, like we should ask, or, we should receive, is to flip it to get to. We get to
nice.
ask and we get to receive. And so,
Yeah.
when I hear myself wanting to say should or actually saying should, or I hear somebody shoulding me, you should, blah, blah, blah. I just hear it as get to. So I'm not as defensive.
That's a better, much healthier way. Yeah. Because shouldas, that's like shit on. Shouldas, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. No space for those.
No. Oh, you said it so beautifully. You didn't should on your puppy, but it just gave me another idea. I'm like, oh, I bet you she would love get to.
Yeah. I do love that. Well, we could talk forever. This is really cool.
Yes.
I love all your stories, and I'm sure you have so many more. Dang. I do want to tell listeners, I do have some free goodies and opt-ins, whether it's a few weeks free access to my online courses or my Mind Mastered app. Just go to dawngrant.com/free on my website, dawngrant.com and all that. And I'm always giving free tips on my social media. So that's a good place to follow me. So, Miss Unstoppable Tracy, would you like to share some of your contact info, or what do you got for us?
But it's Unstoppable Tracy. Unstoppable Tracy on every social media, Unstoppable Tracy website. Everything is Unstoppable Tracy. And on the website, you can get a free download of the book.
Nice.
And the book isn't just stories. It has a picture of me holding a gun in it. I wish I could open it up real quick, which is kind of fun with your gun club membership.
Yeah.
And at the end of every chapter, there's questions for people to answer for themselves. So you can get a free download of Unstoppable You. Because it's not about Unstoppable Tracy, it's about Unstoppable You.
I'm glad you just reiterated that. I didn't realize it said you until you just said it. Nice. Nice.
So
I'd love to read that.
Thank you. And there's no E in Tracy. No arms, no legs, no E. No extra parts.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Tracy. And I look forward to following you on social media myself and seeing what you're up to.
Thank you, Dawn. Forever friends, kindred spirits.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Mastered Secrets of Excellence with Dawn Grant. Whether you're an elite athlete or pursuing success in your career or personal life, Dawn Grant's expertise and insights are here to guide you. Don't forget to visit dawngrant.com/free to grab your exclusive free resources, hypnosis audios, mental training tools, and even a golf cart at her club. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow, rate, and share this podcast. Stay connected with Dawn on all social media platforms for more inspiration, tips, and updates. Remember, mastering your mind is the key to unlocking your full potential. Until next time, keep pushing your limits and striving for excellence.